You know, I feel as though this entire idea of being old on the internet is only created because people who are on the internet tend to be young. You end up being in your 30s and you see all of these other youngsters out there who use the internet because that's just the common thing to do. But the thing is that older people on the internet are not alone. It's just that the communities they participate in are very different. Think about, for example, the anime community. The majority of people who watch anime are teenagers, people in their early 20s. But when you get to people who are in their 30s, maybe they're into older shit from the 80s, those people feel almost completely isolated. They feel alone, and when they see all of these people who are from a younger generation, they end up projecting that as being them being old, for example. And I think this is a huge problem because in many spheres on the internet, this causes people to lose much of their hope within their own life. They often forget just how much of their life they still have. Think, for example, you live 60 years. Well, if you're 30 now, well, shit, you got a 30 extra years after that. Think of all the shit you could achieve in that time. You're not truly old until you're dead. And the reason why I say this is because we often view being old as a debilitating state in which you can't do anything. When you're old, it's like game over. Nothing for life anymore. I'm done. All washed out, when in reality, the brain is actually extremely malleable. You can still learn many new things by the time you're at an old age. There's science that backs up this. There's science, literal, hard data that proves that when you get to that age, when you're, in your 30s and your 40s, even in your 50s, 60s, you can still learn all the way up to being 70 and closer to death, and then you can use those skills in your life while you're in your 70s, and then make your 70s the most fulfilling time in your life. Despite the fact that you're having health problems, you end up feeling way more fulfilled because you have all these new skills you taught yourself while you were younger. You're never too late when it comes to teaching yourself things. You're never too late when it comes to becoming a better person. It's just a matter of your self-motivation, which is often determined by the stories that we tell ourselves. There's this wonderful video by the YouTuber Coffee Break where essentially he breaks down the idea behind Bruce Lee's success and Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he talks about why they were able to reach the heights that they did was not because they were just inherently more talented than others. It was actually because they had told themselves, I am destined to do this thing. I will do this thing. And so because of the fact that they believed that they were able to achieve those things, because it wasn't something that was just a magical far-off idea, because they knew it was possible, they were able to put in the work to make that happen without succumbing to anxiety or succumbing to the fear of failure. If they believed that they were going to fail, then they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have made it to that point. They would not have had that confidence. They would not have seen the path ahead. When you think that the path ahead is totally barren and that there's nothing there for you, of course you're gonna quit, because there's no fucking point to continuing if that's the case. But Bruce Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they didn't think like that. Even when they were at their lowest points, even when they felt as if they couldn't make it to those innumerable heights, they worked to do it anyway, which is all you really need is work. If you work for long enough and hard enough, you can achieve your goals. It just depends on how much you want them and if you're willing to put in the work. At the end of the day, you have that choice. You can choose. When you sit there and you say, I'm too old to change, I'm too old to do this or that, or it's not a matter of you having more wisdom, it's not a matter of you simply knowing more than others about how your life works, it's a matter of you making excuses. There are many people your age even who have the scientific data, who've created the scientific data that backs that fact up. You can look at anything about I believe it's neuroplasticity, I don't remember. It's basically, how the fucking neurons and shit bind together to make your brain more malleable. I don't remember exactly how it works, but like I said, there is research behind it. So it boggles my mind that people can just lay down and die because, oh, I've turned 30 now, well, time to give up. No, you have a good portion of time that you can still use to your advantage. You have a good portion of time that you can still use to become a better person. You just choose not to. That's the thing. That's all I'm old is, because you're never truly old until you die. This is how people use I'm old. They use it as I can't make it anywhere, I can't get anywhere, when in reality you can get everywhere you want to go. You're just making excuses and choosing not to. And because of that toxic mindset you've placed yourself in, you're never going to get anywhere, not because of just the inherent nature of your upbringing, not because of just who you are. It's because you have chosen to make yourself believe that you can't make it. That's the only reason why. You have blue-pilled yourself into believing that you're never going to make it, and so you don't ever make it, because you literally are putting a gap between you and your development. This is you right here. This is your development. This right here is the obstacle that you've placed. You keep slamming into it, and then you end up giving up, so you're down here, because you have said, I'm never going to make it here. And so what happens? Your confidence drops, your work ethic drops, because why the fuck are you ever going to work if you don't believe you can make it to your goal? There's no reason to. So of course you stop. Of course you're just slamming into that obstacle, because you have chosen to lay down and die. That is your choice. That is no one else's choice. That's not anyone in your life who caused you to do that. That is not your upbringing that's its fault. That is you for choosing not to go all the way. You are alive right now, and if you are alive, you can make a choice. You can choose to lay down and die, to give up on your dreams, to give up on everything that's gonna make you happy when you're older, or you can utilize the time you have now at this great age, whatever it is, and then in the next 5 years you can utilize those skills to be more happy in your life, to do better in your life. And then, hey, maybe you die in the next 2 years, but you spent those 2 years happier than you ever were before. You experienced more joy in those 2 years than you ever had in your life. And that alone is worth the 5 years of effort that you put in to be a better person. And I know you can do it if you just try, and if you believe in the empirical fact that is, you can change. You can become a better person. Everyone can. That is just a fact. If you believe it like it's fact, if you look at it like it's fact, if you just see it as my hair exists, as I exist, as all of these things around you that you know to be true, if you interpret it as that, then you can make it. You can make it all the way. But it's up to you to get rid of that debilitating mindset.